Hi everyone, it's Jenn and Kanata. I'm going to be doing a video on some freezer meals that you can do up to either cook them fully and then reheat them, or just assemble and then cook them the day of. So right now I'm going to be doing some snacks slash lunches. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So first, I took some tomatoes and I diced them, and I'm going to use the rest of this bruschetta topping. There's not much in there. There's only like about 2 tablespoons. I'm making bruschetta and little mini pizzas, and these ones I'm going to cook up first and then freeze the rest. Shouldn't bang so hard. Shook my camera. So there we have it. And then I'm taking some pesto. If I had fresh basil, I would do that, but I'm trying to do this kind of quick. So I'm trying to use stuff that I already had on hand. And use things up. Use all of your fragments, all of your bits and bobbles. And then I'm just going to take some green onions, which are from the garden. You could use red onions, white onions. And I'm just going to mix that all together. Oh, some salt and pepper. Wait, where's not in that one? Some pepper. And some salt. And stir that together with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to use this olive oil that has garlic already in it to give it a bit more garlic flavor. And I'm going to add some lemon juice. I'm going to use these True Lemon packets, which is just dehydrated lemon. To give it, you can use balsamic vinegar or anything, just to brighten up the old bruschetta topping with this one. Taste how it is. Okay, that's good. So I'll be doing that, and I'm going to be making these mini pizzas here. So English muffins cut in half. I took this just strained tomatoes. I didn't have any spaghetti sauce, just plain spaghetti sauce. So I took that, some pesto, and some Italian seasoning, and I put it in this jar, like this container. And I'm going to put that on these English muffins. Doing 12 of them, some for lunch today, some for the freezer, which will be one of my kids or hubby's lunches. Then all you do is take them out of the freezer, defrost them, put them in the microwave for 30 seconds to heat up, and it's done. Get the sauce around. So for 12, how big is this container? It's about just over 1 cup. 1 cup of sauce for 12 English muffins pizzas. And then I'm going to take some tomatoes. I cut 12 slices of tomato. So I'm putting one of these on each. You can put whatever toppings you want. And then remember a while back the pepperoni. I'm going to be using some of that I got in Portugal. Like a kilogram of pepperoni. Since I'm opening it today for $10, I'm going to use some, and then I'm going to package some into Ziploc baggies and put them in the freezer. So I'm going to put 3 pepperonis on each. You could chop these up to make them smaller, but I'm not, as I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible as my family is hungry. It's almost 1 o'clock, so I just got back from doing my groceries after being away for 2.5 weeks. Okay. So now I'll put the baguette bread down. Yeah, gonna pull again. Things away. And then I'm going to take the bruschetta filling and put it on each piece of baguette. I got the baguettes for 94 cents. And this is 1 whole baguette minus the ends, as I like eating the ends. And they don't sit so well when it's not flat. You could put other type of things in here. You could put olives in here, or even bacon bits. Or actually follow a bruschetta recipe. I'm just not doing that because I'm trying to use up what I have. so nothing goes to waste. Almost all done up here. And then I'm topping both the pizza and the bruschetta with some mozzarella cheese. I should preheat the oven to I think 425. Check my oven to make sure there's nothing else in here. Nope, yay! Always check your oven. Sometimes you never know what's in there. And you just put some cheese on everything. You put mozzarella cheese or Parmesan cheese or a bit of both. The kids like it with mozzarella, so that's what I'm going to do. You don't need a lot. This bag is 320 grams, so it's less than a pound. Just over half a pound of shredded cheese. And the amount that's left. Look at that. So we got probably about a cup of it left. So just make sure these pieces are evened out of cheese. And I wouldn't worry too much about it being pretty. But well, there you go. Well, I'm going to put that in the oven and let it bake until the cheese melts. Probably about 5 minutes or so. And then I have 3 packages of pepperoni to put in the freezer because I don't think I'm going to be making any more pizzas over the next few days. If not, if we do, I'll just take them out. They just defrost within about half an hour and then just use them as is. And so there's the finished pizzas and bruschettas. We'll eat and then we'll freeze the rest. So here I made some meatballs with about 3/4, not even 3/4, 2/3 of the package of ground beef, the family pack I had. I put ground beef, salt, pepper, garlic, parsley, Italian seasoning, some breadcrumbs. I just was trying to use up regular breadcrumbs. I do make, I toast up the ends of bread and I grind them on my food processor. I also did some veggies in here, carrot, celery, onion in my food processor. There you could see there. I put half of it in here and half I have in the fridge. I'll show you that in a second. And I'm going to bake these at 350 for about 20 minutes or so until they're done. As I'm making some of these for supper tonight, I'm making just plain pasta with a rosé sauce from a jar and meatballs, quick meal, and whatever is left over, I will freeze it for a lunch in the coming week or two. And then the other half of these meatballs I'm using it for Italian wedding soup. So here's the leftover pizzas and one bruschetta. I'm just putting that in the freezer to have as one of my kids or hubby's lunches. There's like 3 little mini pizzas, not a whole meal, but we had a whole bunch at lunch. So that's going in the freezer. That's the leftover bit of ground beef. There's about 2 cups worth. And here is just chopped up celery, onions, carrots for my food processor that I'll be using probably in this beef dish. I'm making an easy ground beef chowmein this week. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to season that meat right now, and I'll put that in the fridge or in the freezer, because I'm still making my menu as to which day I'm going to make that. So if it's more than a day or two, I'm just going to freeze it, because once you defrost it, it's already marinated, right? So since I'm trying to use up stuff, I always seem to have like half a jar of sauce. So this one's teriyaki. It's, well, not quite half, it's about a third. So I'm going to pour that right in there. It's already part of the marinade. If I did not have this jar, I would do more soy sauce, which I'm going to put in right now. So see, there's my big thing of soy sauce. I would do a mixture of soy sauce, brown sugar, honey, garlic, ginger, which right now I'm going to use a garlic ginger paste. I also have just garlic paste and just ginger paste. But I like it when in Asian dishes and some Indian dishes they ask for both, so it's just easier to do that. And then, because we like a little bit of heat, I am going to add sriracha hot chili sauce. Gives it a bit of heat. And since this is raw meat, you can't really taste it. So it's probably better to make the marinade first and then put it in the meat, because then you can taste the marinade. But once you already had it in the meat, you can't. So I'm just stirring it around. To break up the meat too, because it's just out of the package. I'm like, why freeze meat not already marinated? Because then you just have to take it out again and marinate it. And then you have to wait another day or so. Marinate it before you freeze it. Buy your meat, put it in the fridge, decide what you're going to do with the meat, put them in Ziploc containers, put them in plastic containers, glass containers, whatever, plastic bags, whatever you want to do, and let it marinate, so that when you take it out on cooking day, you already have that step done, and your meat becomes way more flavorful the longer you marinate. And like, if I really wanted to incorporate lots of flavor in here, I would also put it in a food saver bag. I'm also going to add some toasted sesame oil, just because it adds to the flavor profile of the meat, It's what I associate Asian flavors with. That one's almost done. It's done now. Oh, I forgot to put the meatballs to bake. I put them in the oven, but I forgot to press bake. They are not going to get cooked that way. So there it is. There's the marinade. You can see I'm just going to stir up and put that in the fridge for now. So I've got my meat marinade for supper, one supper this week, as well as a lunch, and then some veggies I already chopped up for to be used in another recipe. I'll probably use that with the Italian wedding soup. Now I'm cooking up 900 grams of spaghettini. I know it's going to be way more for supper than what we want, but that means I will have leftover pasta for another meal. Leftover pasta, all I do is, once it's cooked, I'll drain it and put a little bit of olive oil on it, and then I will separate it and put in a Ziploc bag or in a container. But I like to just put it in a bag because then I can lay it flat in the fridge or in the freezer. So you just leave it like that, and then you can do an impromptu. You have already the cooked pasta. Put that with some pesto sauce, like from Costco, or that. Some leftover chicken, some leftover pork, whatever you want to put it, and make a quick meal in like 5-10 minutes. Because all you do is you take over the cooked pasta, you put in the strainer, and run it with over hot water, and it's done. And then you can just mix it all together, put it in the microwave, and it cooks perfectly. You can freeze it. The thing with freezing pasta is you can't really freeze pasta in soup. Some of them you can, but prefer to freeze the pasta separately, because what happens is that the pasta noodles will absorb all the liquid in the soup. But pasta will freeze easily with a little bit of olive oil, and put it in the freezer in a Ziploc bag or in a container for at least a month or two. And you just do the same thing straight from frozen, run under hot water. You know, it's really easy. I'll show you our meal when it's done. Here's the cooked pasta. This is the stuff, half of it I'm putting in a container. This holds about 9 cups. And I'm going to put some olive oil, just a drizzle in there, and stir. And then that's pasta with the rosé sauce. So you just stir so that the pasta doesn't stick to one another. I'm going to let this cool. Now put it in the fridge. And then there's the pasta with the rosé sauce. And here are the meatballs. I'm going to take a third of these for this dish right now, and then probably a third for the soup, or the whole 2/3 left. But look, cook perfectly. Just put them onto pan, and then put them in oven. I think it took about 20 minutes. And there's the meatball. Super moist. So that's going to go in the fridge for the soup. So that's a container of, I think, 4 or 5 cups. And here's the pasta, the other meatballs. I'm just going to add some cheese to it on each person's plate. This will feed my family 4 with leftovers, unless everybody's starving, of course. Now we're going to make the Italian wedding soup with the leftover meatballs that we froze and chopped up veggies, and then what's left of the soup, what we're going to have for lunch, I'm going to freeze it, because with the acini di pepe, if that's how you say the little pasta, it doesn't, it's one of the ones that you can freeze in the soup, and it doesn't really absorb it all like other noodles, and they get all mushy. These ones, it just doesn't do that. So it's a good soup to freeze. So all I did was fill this pot with water and use the appropriate amount of chicken broth mix in here. As you see, I threw the meatballs that were previously cooked and the chopped up carrots, onions, and celery. I am not going to put spinach or escarole in here as traditionally you do, just because my family does not like it and I don't have it. So I'm bringing that to boil. And then here's the acini di pepe little pasta. You can use Italian couscous, not Italian, Israeli couscous, or other small pasta shells. And then, like, this will be done in about 30 minutes. Taste the broth. Oh yeah, I'm going to add some pepper and a little bit of hot sauce, because we like a little zing to our soup. So, pepper and a bit of Old Bay seasoning. I find it really does a lot. See, Old Bay to soups. So I'm just adding some hot sauce, some red hot. You got Tabasco or any other hot sauce you want, or add a couple of hot peppers, just to give it a little zing. And let's taste the broth with it. When I put garlic too. Okay. So now we just bring this to boil and cook off the little pasta balls. If I need to add water, like if it's just not enough water, because I didn't measure anything, I'll just add some more water. There's still some room in the pot, not much. But this will feed my family for lunch with some crusty bread and butter. And then the rest will go into individual containers in the freezer. So it's easy to take for lunch. You could take it frozen in your bag for lunch and then heat it in the microwave, or defrost it and heat it up and put in the thermos. Whatever you can do. But this is one of those great soups. And here is the finished soup. Gonna have it with some fresh bread. Jenn in Kanata, I'm still doing those freezer meals. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna be doing and also how you can do them. I'm gonna be making the Vietnamese pork right now. As you can see, I'm going to be making the Vietnamese lemongrass pork, which I'm going to be using into a recipe with rice and vegetables one day. Also going to be using leftover of that pork, possibly in pad thai, as well as in sushi, which is not written on here. Normally I would put all these ingredients in a Ziploc bag and put the Ziploc bag in the freezer and marinate it and then take it out and cook it that day. The recipe calls for the pork sliced. I am not going to do that. I'm going to choose to use a picnic roast, but not slice it. I'm going to throw it in my Instant Pot and I'm going to cook it like that. And then I'm going to have it shredded. I had a recipe like this on vacation that was a shredded pork dish with noodles and stuff, and it was really good. So one of the few meals that had good flavor to it, but not as authentic as anything. But I'm going to do it so it's actually easier. That way I don't have to grill it. I'm just going to put it in my Instant Pot, and then I'm going to divvy up the meat into Ziploc bags and freeze it after the fact. Normally I would freeze it before, so then it doesn't kind of taste like leftovers, but since I have multiple different meals using the same pork flavors, I'm just going to do it like this. And also, it just means it's easier. I'm going to put the link to the marinade that inspires me below, and I'm going to show you what I actually do. Okay? So, the marinade calls for some green onions. It says 2. I like, instead of taking 2 whole ones, I just start cutting the ends off a bunch, so I don't measure. So there's that. And then I use this frozen, well, it's now defrosted a bit, lemongrass that's already chopped. It's great to use in recipes because I don't have to buy the lemongrass and chop it each time I use it. So I take the package. See, there's frozen chopped lemongrass, and you can see I'm measuring it so precisely. I'd say about 3 tablespoons of lemon, maybe 4, because this is what really brings out a nice flavor with the pork. See, here's the pork that I got marked down. Instead of paying 9 something for each one, I paid $4.30. And then this, the recipe calls for about half a cup of honey. This is just a little bit over half a cup. Since I'm using so much, I'm going to pour that in there as well. So there's the honey. Also, when I was at the Asian market, I talked to the Vietnamese lady that's there, and she says you should really use this for the black pepper beef and the grilled meats and stuff. It's called black pepper sauce. So it's basically ground up black peppers. I'm going to use that in here as well as some pepper that is called for in the recipe. So I used a heaping tablespoon of the black pepper sauce. And then I'm going to put this on meat stew, but I'm going to change that to 35 minutes. And this will be ready probably about 45 minutes because I'll let natural pressure release. And the next freezer meal I'm going to be doing is cutting up these pork chops, which I paid $3 for one package and $2 for the other. This will be probably 1.5 meals for the freezer. I'm going to be making sweet and sour pork with these. So I'm going to take these out of the packages and cut them up. I'm just going to pop them into this bowl anyways, and I'm just going to throw marinade in there. So here's the cut up pork, and I'm going to marinate it with some sugar. This just used a tablespoon of sugar, so I'm using a sugar packet. Some soy sauce. And an egg. Well, it says an egg white. I'm going to use the whole egg. Now I'm going to marinate this, stir this all up. Let that sit while I cut up the onions, pepper, and celery to go in the bag. This I'm going to be cooking up first, and I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag with the raw vegetables and the sweet and sour sauce. So here is a Ziploc bag that has 3 stalks of celery chopped, a sweet pepper, I used an orange one, and an onion. And I'm going to use the measuring cup to make the sauce. So in this measuring cup, I'm putting some apple cider vinegar, about a third of a cup, and then ketchup, about a quarter of a cup to a third of a cup. And then a couple teaspoons of soy sauce, and then some pineapples. Usually I use the smaller tin. This is a bigger tin, so I'm going to just add that all in there. And then I'm going to add a bit of sriracha hot sauce just to give it a bit of zing. So some sriracha, just a little squirt. Stir that up, taste it. If you find it's not sweet enough, add some more sugar. But basically this is going to marinate your vegetables and your meat once it's cooked in the freezer. And then this will cook down when you cook it all again. I think it needs a little bit more sriracha, just because I like a bit of heat. Yeah, that's good. Now that the sauce is made, I'm going to take the marinated pork. I have a plate here with just some cornstarch on it, and coat the pieces of pork in the cornstarch. And here I have oil heating up. So there's pork. Just need to do it because it's a little bit warm brown. You don't have to cook it fully because we're going to cook it later once it's out of the freezer. And there's some more, just cornstarch. We're going to take that pork out and put it on a plate. Fold it out. And there we go. I'm just going to cook up the rest until they're all done. So here is the pork cooked up and letting it cool. But instead of putting it in the Ziploc bag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a lasagna pan or a casserole dish. I'm going to cook up the sauce with the vegetables. I cook up the sauce first, get the vegetables in there, and then pour it on top of the meat. And then I'm going to freeze it. And I'm going to, whenever I want to eat it, I'm just going to cook up some white rice or brown rice or some noodles, and we have meal all ready. So here's the little bit of oil that's left. I'm just going to pour all solid onions on the baggie. I'll use this baggie for another freezer meal, just because I realized it was just too much to pour that baggie. And here's the pan. And there's the vegetables. Also pineapple. And it's not all cook. Yeah. To boil, to reduce. You take the leftover cornstarch, add, or if you don't have lots left, do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, add some water to it. So you can add that to thicken up. If you just add the cornstarch straight, you get lumps, but this way, look, it's nice and thick, just like store-bought sauce. Now, turn that off. And pour that on top of the sweet and sour pork. And just move things around so the sauce is everywhere. Get the sauce over there. And then you just let this cool. Cover it up with some saran wrap and tin foil and put in your freezer. Then when you're ready to have sweet and sour pork, you just take it out, put this in the oven, and let it reheat for about 20 minutes. If it's completely frozen, I'd say about an hour. But it comes out perfectly, and then all the work is done. All you do is cook up some rice or some noodles or ramen noodles or whatever you'd like. Here is the pork from the Instant Pot. I'm going to take it out and start shredding it. So there's one pork chop. Look, it's full, tender. Let's try a little bite of it. Oh, so good. So here is the pork. I shredded off the bones. That's the bones, and that's the juices that I'll pour on some of the pork. I'm going to divvy this up into 3 containers, 2 larger containers and 1 small container. The smaller container is going to be used for sushi, which for my oldest daughter who doesn't eat seafood. So we're going to use pork sushi and salmon sushi and California rolls. So this one I'll use for sushi, that one for the pork with the rice or noodles, and this one for pad thai. And I'm going to pour the juice to keep the meat moist. Those are going into the freezer, so that's 3 meals of that. Now the last freezer meal I'm making is sausage and peppers. It's really simple. Just take your Italian sausages, mild, hot, whatever type of sausages you want, put them in a Ziploc bag or in a casserole dish, and put peppers and onions in there. On the day of, I will dice up some potatoes, put them in the bottom of a lasagna pan, dump this, literally whether it's frozen or not. I'll try and defrost it if I remember. And maybe sprinkle it with Italian seasoning, or not, and just put them in the oven. Like, I'll put a little bit of oil in the pan with the potatoes, and that's it. You don't have to do anything fancy. It's a very simple and easy dish. And today is even easier because I'm using a package of frozen onions and peppers because they were on sale for a couple bucks. So there's 3 peppers and onions, and I'm going to pour that in here. And there you have it. So I have 1 meal of sausage and peppers, 1 meal of English muffin pizzas, 3 meals of Vietnamese pork. Here's the Italian wedding soup. I have like 2 full ones and 1/2. This one's about a half of Italian wedding soup. The beef chowmein, and the sweet and sour pork, which I'm just laying cool in the oven until I can put tinfoil on it to put in the freezer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 freezer meals for my family. And here is all heated up. This week's our pork. Hi everyone, I'm going to show you cooking up the beef chowmein that I made in the freezer meal on the weekend, and I'm cooking it up right now. So here's the ground beef that was seasoned, and I'm just cooking it up, getting it all broken apart. I haven't done anything to the pan, I just put it in here. This was like a lean ground beef, not extra lean, so there is still some fat, and that's also the juices, the marinade that's cooking this meat. So I'm just cooking this till it's all cooked up. And I'm going to add at least half a bag of coleslaw, which is just shredded cabbage and carrots, in here. Actually, I decided to put the whole bag in because it wasn't as big as I thought it would be, and I have a lot of meat mixture. So you want to kind of cook this up so you have the cabbage cooking as well. And there's the cooked beef chowmein meat. And then I'm just putting water into the pot and I'm going to boil the chowmein noodles. Now I'm going to drain these noodles and then pan fry them. There, I put some oil in the pan, and I'm just going to pan fry this to give it some texture. So there's a little bit of crispy noodles and some not so crispy. So here is the pad thai. I used vermicelli noodles, some package of shrimp, egg, I cooked them all separate, then some tofu, bean sprouts, some shredded carrots, and then I just poured pad thai sauce with the Vietnamese pork in there. And this is supper tonight. Doesn't that look yummy? And there'll be lots of leftovers for tomorrow. Here is the loaded baked potato soup. All I did was cooked up potatoes in chicken broth and some chopped up onions, and then added some milk. I had riced my potatoes so that they were nice and creamy, and added just some milk to thicken it up. And I used this ricer from IKEA, and we will be having this for supper tonight, as well as putting some in the freezer. We're going to put toppings to our taste of bacon bits and shredded cheese and chopped green onions. And this will give us at least 2 meals. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye, friends.